You're deep in a task at your desk, working through a problem, and you realize your coworker is staring. You've been caught talking to yourself. Instead of looking away, you can simply explain that you're optimizing your cognitive performance. This isn't an eccentric habit, it's a biological process. In the 1920s, psychologist Lev Vygotsky proposed that talking to yourself is the foundation of higher mental functions. According to Vygotsky, speech moves from the social plane to the psychological one. It begins as a command from a parent, evolves into a child speaking to themselves overtly to regulate their behavior, and finally dissolves into the silent inner speech of an adult. We're going to bring that internal process back into the open to solve a specific problem. Select one mildly complex task you are currently struggling with. We're going to apply a 3-step action plan to it right now. Self-talk is more than a quirk. It is a mechanism for self-regulation. By moving your dialogue from your head to the room, you can deliberately direct your focus and motivation. Step 1 addresses how we initiate action. Vague, internalized thoughts, like simply thinking, "I need to start working," often fail to trigger a physical response because they lack specific constraints. To fix this, you must speak a specific, goal-oriented promise out loud to yourself. This creates what researchers call a telic private commitment. A telic action is one directed toward a definitive end state. This mimics the social utility of a promise. When you tell a coworker you'll deliver a report by 2 p.m., they coordinate their schedule around that deadline. Your commitment creates a predictable structure for their actions. Speaking that same promise out loud to yourself manufactures the same inertia. It transforms a passive intention into a self-imposed obligation, making the task a fixed part of your timeline. Instructional. Use this phrasing template out loud. I am committing to myself to finish the data entry by 11:30 a.m. A telic private commitment bridges the gap between thinking about a task and being obligated to it. It tells the brain that the goal is non-negotiable, allowing you to drop competing distractions. Once you've started, you'll eventually hit a roadblock. Whether it's a blank page or an overwhelming dataset, the sheer scale of the problem can cause execution paralysis. Step 2 utilizes self-interrogation. You are going to use out-loud questions to force your brain to deconstruct the task. Avoid unproductive negative questions like, "Why am I stuck?" Instead, the rule is to ask only actionable, process-oriented questions. This process is known as self-explaining. By voicing direct questions, you force your brain to allocate more computing power to find a localized answer, rather than staying stuck in an abstract loop. Ask yourself this out loud. What is the actual roadblock here? Then provide the answer out loud. You might realize you're missing a specific piece of information from a previous meeting. Then ask, what is the absolute smallest next step? Say it. Perhaps it's just looking up a single figure or writing one introductory sentence. Self-interrogation neutralizes overwhelm by forcing an abstract problem into a sequential checklist. The final roadblock is often emotional, the anxiety or frustration that builds when a task gets difficult. Step 3 requires surgically altering your self-talk by shifting your pronouns. You replace I and me with you, or even better, your own name. The technical term for this repositioning is self-distancing. First-person self-talk keeps the brain trapped inside a subjective anxiety loop. You are experiencing the stress, which makes it harder to see the solution. Speaking in the third person creates distance between the self that is experiencing the frustration and the self that is solving the problem. It allows you to step into the role of an objective advisor. Use the script. You now have harder problems than this. You just need to re-examine the data. Self-distancing leverages your existing capacity for empathy. It allows you to apply the same objective logic to your own problems that you would naturally offer to a friend. You now have a 3-step protocol. Establish a telic commitment, use self-interrogation to find the next step, and use self-distancing to manage the emotional friction. You aren't just hoping the work gets done. You possess a clearly defined mission and an active, objective coach. Take the problem you selected and execute the first step now. People talking to themselves aren't experiencing a lapse in social awareness. They are using the most direct method available to manage their cognitive load.